Nabila, thanks for joining us this morning. So JPM out of the Muni market in Texas. What more can you tell us?
Danny, you remember that Jamie Dimon, the JPMorgan CEO, earlier this year told a congressional hearing that the bank won't finance gun companies that make military-style weapons for consumers. Lo and behold, what has Texas done? They have now passed a law that bans government work with banks that limit business within the firearms industry. So what does that mean? So JPMorgan has now been shut out of the muni bond market in that state. And look, it's not a small market. Texas is only second to California when it comes to muni bond issuance. Issuers there borrowed about $58 billion last year. JP Morgan itself arranged about $3.5 billion of muni bond deals in Texas last year. What's really interesting is that it's not very clear yet exactly how this law applies to these banks. Remember that Citigroup, which was also a target of this legislation in June, said that they won't be affected. But JP Morgan is taking a cautious stance. And they said to us that the legal risk associated with this ambiguous law prevents them from bidding on most business right now with Texas public entities, Danny.
Interesting. Nabila, before we let you go, there was a lot of Wall Street news overnight from BlackRock to Jefferies. What else has caught your eye?
Danny, Jefferies has turned in a record quarter for their investment banking division. They've doubled their revenue from this time last year to $1.18 billion. And you know this has been fueled by their deal makers who are obviously enjoying an unprecedented deal deluge on Wall Street, which has been in turn fueled by the economic recovery. Very good news for Jefferies, but also very good news for the Wall Street banks that are yet to report their earnings. And you know that JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs report their earnings a little bit later, and Jefferies has always been considered a bellwether. So that's good news. And then quickly, in return to work news, BlackRock is saying that it would like most of its employees back in the office at least 3 days a week from November 1. They're trialing a pilot program to see how well US and European colleagues collaborate, but while still working 2 days remotely, and we'll see how that goes. But Danny, we're collaborating pretty well from Asia to Europe, so hopefully they'll figure it out too.